In 3 more years, I will have earned my Moses badge. A Moses badge, you ask? Why, yes. It's awarded to a pastor who has spent 40 years wandering in the wilderness with the same congregation. In 3 more years, it will be official. I will have been in grace for 40 years. Perhaps that's why I have such an affinity with Moses these days, where that's not been the case in most of my ministry. And particularly in this final chapter in the Moses story. We find Moses on Mount Nebo, overlooking the promised land, a land that he will never enter. For he will die on Nebo as he watches the people of God, the people that he brought out of the wilderness, cross the Jordan with Joshua in the lead, entering into that land of promise that God had given them. One of the hardships of a long pastorate is being left behind. People die. People retire, get retirement homes in the South, or move to be near their children. People are relocated for new jobs. Kids go off to college, never to return. Some people get mad at the church, get mad at me. Off they go. And some people just fade away. Whatever the circumstances, that feeling of left behind is a hollow feeling. It is painful. It is grief. And it never goes away. COVID has brought its own character of being left behind. How many of us have the feeling of being left behind by family and friends that we have not seen for weeks or months since this has all begun? And while FaceTime and Zoom and other media have made it palatable, it's not the same. Something is truly missing. We've left something behind. Many of us also are feeling left behind by a nation we once knew, by a church. I often have conversation with colleagues where we reminisce about the church that we were raised in and ordained in and became pastors. This is not the same church. We've been left behind. We've been left behind in so many ways. The promised land seems out of our grasp. But one of the things we need to remember about this particular chapter in the Exodus and Promised Land narrative is that it marks a great transition. Moses had the skills to bring his people out of Egypt and walk with them in the wilderness. But it will take a new style of leadership to take them into the Promised Land. And so too for us, as we stand here on the verge of our own little Nebos in the midst of COVID, on the edge of the wilderness, waiting for that promised land when COVID will hold us in its grip no more. It would do us well to ponder what those skills will be that will be needed as we move forward. And what is it that we need to leave behind? In the midst of this transition, as in all of the transitions with God's people, God will continue to be faithful, enabling us to grow and stretch, that we may not be left behind on our little Nebos, but that we may be sent forth boldly into a new land with new challenges, where we may continue to grow in grace and faith. Lord, dismiss us with your blessing. Fill our hearts with joy and peace. Let us each your love possessing, triumph in redeeming grace. O refresh us, O refresh us, traveling through this wilderness. Savior, when your love shall call us from a struggling pilgrim way, let no fear of death appall us, glad your summons to obey. May we ever reign with you in endless day.